Hello everybody, Razorblade Mango here, and welcome to my first game review in probably 3 months now. Yeah, 2 or 3 months. So today we're going to be talking about the latest game from the Yakuza Studio, who are called, and I pray to God I don't butcher this, Gotoku Studio. I think that sounded okay. Who, of course, are the people behind the wildly popular Yakuza series. They also did the latest Fist of the North Star game, which I've heard is pretty good. Still need to try that out. But now they have made a new game, which is actually a spin-off of the Yakuza series, and it's called Judgment. And if you live in Japan, it's called Judge Eyes. I'm most likely going to instinctually refer to it as Judge Eyes, just because I like that title more and it just rolls off the tongue better a lot more than Judgment. And Judgment is just such a bland, boring name. I mean, come on, like Judge Eyes, Judgment. Judge Eyes just sounds much better. And of course, published by Sega. And this actually came out in June. And it took me, not only did it take me quite a while to finish it, it also took me a while to get all the side stuff done, and the like to a level where I felt happy that I could finally put the game down and be like, right, I am fully done with it. So, what did I think of Judge Eyes? Well, if you watched my State of the Channel video, you'll know that I said that I thought the game was really, really good, but I hadn't finished it yet. And I still stand by that. Even after finishing this game and going through all the side quests and like digging through a lot of the side activities in there, I really like Judge Eyes. Judge Eyes comes damn close to being a great game, and quite possibly the best game the Yakuza Studio has ever made. It comes really close. By the hair of its nuts, it comes really close. So, this has been one of my most highly anticipated games of 2019, no doubt, because I am a newly converted Yakuza fan. I have been ever since I played Yakuza 0 last year, and I played, I think Yakuza Kiwami I played last year as well. I played bits and pieces of some of the other Yakuza games. I think I played Yakuza 6 a little bit, I played Yakuza 5 a little bit, but Yakuza Kiwami, Yakuza 0, and now Judgment are the only 3 Yakuza games I have ever completed in their entirety. And so far, they are 3 for 3 in my book. Judgment is really good. This one in particular caught my eye because it seemed to me from the trailers, it looked like Yakuza meets Ace Attorney. And when you throw at me a concept like Yakuza meets Ace Attorney, especially after me going through the Ace Attorney games, for the original 3 Ace Attorney games for the very first time earlier this year, I'm gonna want more. And combining that with the usual silliness and the wackiness and the storytelling of the Yakuza series, I was just so excited to play this. I really was, and it was really good. and I'm so happy that it met my expectations. But Yakuza meets Ace Attorney is not actually the most accurate description for this game. What's really a more accurate description for this game is if somehow out there was a Yakuza version of whatever Detective Gumshoe did in Ace Attorney. And if you guys don't know who Detective Gumshoe is, he is one of your companions in the Ace Attorney trilogy. He's the guy that goes out, and he's kind of a moron, but that's his character. He goes out, he's a detective, he finds vital evidence for you. He even saves the day at one point in the series during like one of the key trials in the trilogy. And he is just a guy who goes out and collects evidence and solves cases. And that's pretty much what you're doing in Judge Eyes. You aren't, very rarely are you actually going inside of a courtroom to argue a case, because you're not a prosecutor, you're not a defense attorney either. You are a detective for hire. The character of Yagami, he was a defense attorney at one point, but because of circumstances, he retired from being a defense attorney and went to be an amateur detective, opened up his own detective agency in Kamurocho with one of his best friends who is a former Yakuza member. And the difference between Yagami and Detective Gumshoe is that Yagami is actually a really damn good detective, and he's a great fighter, and he's not a fucking idiot either. And speaking of Yagami, I really liked this guy as a character, and I hope there are more Judge Eyes games after this. I would really like to see a sequel to this. I think he has a really good arc within the story. He's instantly likable. To be honest, I honestly would go so far as to say is I find him more interesting and rootable than Kiryu, and I fucking love Kiryu. I think Kiryu is an awesome protagonist for the Yakuza series, but Yagami to me he's got that extra spark to him where I think he's got a little bit more of a range than Kiryu does, because Kiryu a lot of the time is just very like stern and stone-faced, and that's part of his charm. It's part of his charm that he's like super serious all the time, whereas Yagami he's got a lot of dimensions to him where he's definitely got his serious moments. He can be funny, he can be light, he's vulnerable, he's weak at a couple points. He gets his fucking ass kicked at a couple points, and he needs help from people, and that in turn, just seeing him vulnerable and weak just makes him more endearing. And especially when he starts going up against like the really bad stuff in this game, that just makes him all the more likable. Like, you root for this guy. You want this guy to win because the opposition that he's facing is so fucking despicable. You do not want these bad guys to win. And that's just fucking great storytelling from the Yakuza people are so good at making villains that you absolutely fucking hate. That you just want them to get their just desserts so bad, and you are willing to follow Yagami on his arc of redemption for the mistakes he's made in the past, while also confronting the sins of now, the real horrors of Kamurocho. Really nasty pieces of shit, where he's entangled in this fascinating story of government cover-ups and Yakuza turf wars, and of course his own personal arc. And that's just the main campaign. Like, if this was just the main campaign, this would already be like a really solid start to this. Like, if it was just the campaign, it would already be like a really great detective story, really fascinating. But it wouldn't be a Yakuza game if it didn't constantly flood you, absolutely just flood your brain with hidden side missions. And like past Yakuza games, Judge Eyes has that in spades. Every time a new chapter of this game popped up, I think I spent like a good 4 hours at one point, not even doing anything in the main campaign, and just going off and doing the side missions, going off and doing the friend events that you have to do in order to increase your city reputation, in order to get more side missions and get more side cases on top of that. And it's just overwhelming the amount of stuff that you get. Especially, like, I bought this game at a discount because I had a 25% off code from PlayStation. I bought this for like $45. If I had spent $60 on this game, I still would have been immensely satisfied. I would have been like, oh yeah, $60, I got my fucking money's worth. I definitely did, because it's not all filler, unlike Days Gone, which was just filler after filler after filler of fucking nebulous crap. You have Judge Eyes coming in here, smacking the fucking competition upside the head, showing these motherfuckers how it needs to be done, showing them, hey, don't just create stuff, create fun stuff. And that's what Judgment is. That's what Judge Eyes is. It is fucking fun. It is a fun, enjoyable game. Nearly every single side mission or side case or friend event that you encounter is silly or wacky or serious or just plain bizarre at a couple points, even heartwarming for a couple of the friend events. And again, it's not even just the side missions, it's the activities in this game as well that just have a crazy amount of depth. You've got the drone racing, which has its own stuff, to numerous courses in the drone racing. You've got fully functioning arcades in this game that have old games from Sega. Like they got like Virtua Fighter, like full Virtua Fighter in there. That they could probably sell on the side for like $15 or $10 and make some easy money off of it. But it's in this game. It's fully in this playable in this game. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It just blows my mind that this studio consistently takes this concept, and there is a lot, and I must say there are a lot of reused assets in this game. You know, you've got Kamurocho is not at all unfamiliar to people who have played Yakuza. There's a lot of like the old side missions. They've got the batting cage. They've got, you know, they got the casinos. They've got the gambling. They've got the side missions. They've got the side games. But this is a great example of how you can take a formula and assets and change them around a little bit, but also create something like that feels original and different to Yakuza or to Fists of the North Star. I think they've done a brilliant job of doing that, where I never once thought, ugh, this is lazy, ugh, this is just from Yakuza, ugh, I've seen this all before. I never felt that once during Judge Eyes, during like the fucking like nearly 100 hours that I spent in the game. Yes, 90 to 100 hours I spent with this game. I did not once think, oh man, this is just a ripoff of Yakuza. Oh man, I've seen this before from Yakuza. Oh man, I just wish I was playing Yakuza. No, this is like its own thing. And when they come out with the next Yakuza game, even if they do recycle assets from Judge Eyes, I'm pretty sure it's gonna feel just as fresh as the day I first played Yakuza 0. And there are a couple of side missions in particular that I want to give a shout out to. I'm not gonna specify what they are, but this game is hilarious, and you know what you're getting yourself into when you play a game from the Yakuza people. You know what kind of wacky shit you're getting yourself into. And even then, I was shocked by how much I like I'm talking hard, like tears in my eyes, laughing multiple times. And that is very hard to do in anything. That's really difficult to do, to make me consistently laugh out loud really hard, like multiple times over a span of hours. That is a fucking accomplishment within itself. Even if this game was terrible, I would still give it praise for doing that. This is the hardest I've laughed during a game in a long time. I can't think of the last time I laughed this hard during a game. Like, where I was just, like, my stomach hurt and I had tears in my eyes because I was laughing. I mean, I think on that basis alone, like similar to how I couldn't recommend Days Gone for the technical state that it was in at the time, I can easily recommend Judge Eyes just for the comedy factor of it. Even if you don't really like this kind of combat system or don't like open world stuff, it's hilarious. It's a fucking funny game, and I'd recommend it just on that level alone. And as I said, this comes very close to being the best Yakuza game. But we gotta get into the negatives, sadly. So let's get into the negatives of Judge Eyes. The opening chapter of this game is quite a slog. If you are somebody that does not have a lot of patience, like me, for example, I have a surprising amount of patience for a game. If I'm liking it, I will be on board with the slow pacing. Hell, I'm the guy that considers like the opening Twilight Town prologue of Kingdom Hearts 2 to be like the very peak this series ever reached in terms of storytelling. And even I, during this prologue, the intro chapter for Judge Eyes, I was like, okay, is this gonna start picking up a little bit? Because it feels like the game kind of has you on a choke collar, where it's holding back a lot of the wackier elements that makes this game so much fun. And you're kind of just waiting there and going, I did purchase a game from the Yakuza people, didn't I? Like I like their serious storytelling, don't get me wrong, but there comes a point where you're kind of like, starting to get a little tired of the serious stuff. I kind of want more wacky stuff, a little bit, kind of, sort of, please. And I don't think it really, like, the opening chapter, it's slow, and I don't think it really hits its stride in the opening until it reaches the final story mission of that chapter. And that's when it's like, okay, this is the game that I wanted to see. And then from here on, it's like it's like Yakuza Unchained, where it then, almost immediately in the second chapter, like, the wacky shit just starts flying at you like 50 miles per hour on the speedway. Just Yakuza, and you're just like, oh my god, here's the game that I've wanted. Pacing issues is another big problem with this game. It's very clear that they are trying to pad out the story in certain chapters, particularly the ones that are set in flashbacks to a case that Yagami took on 3 years before the game started. And these are the sections where, again, like, the hand-holding starts to come in, and the slow storytelling, the slow detective stuff, the slow walking, and the slow, like, oh, we gotta follow this person here, and it's just, come on, guys, like, I wanna pick this up and get back to Kamurocho and punch people in the face, please. I don't wanna, come on, guys. By the way, the combat system is pretty good in this game. Not as good as Yakuza 0, but I think it drags it down a little bit with the lack of more fighting varieties and the cap at 60 frame, or capped at 30 frames. If it had been 60 frames, I think it would have been smoother. But anyway, going back, pacing issues, I think they pad out some of it. Some chapters I think you could have just cut out entirely. It would have made for a more efficient storytelling. Frequency of the gangs in this game. Now, later on in the game, you start to encounter this street gang, and its prime, like, big four members will kind of stalk the streets and wait for you to fight them in order to reduce the gang activity in Kamurocho. And you actually have it as like a percentage meter on the side where it's like, oh, gang level 99%, gang level 50%, and you can decrease it by, like I said, fighting these guys on the side, that if you beat them, the gang level will decrease. You won't be pestered as much by this gang. My big problem with it is that it pops up way too often and at way inconvenient times. There are points where I just want to get on with doing my side missions. I just want to get on with doing my main missions. But then I have these fucking gang members that pop up out of nowhere because they decide to wreak havoc in the city yet again, even though I dealt with them less than 30 minutes ago already. And it just becomes annoying. By the end, when you reach like the 4 gang members that are hiding out in the city, and you have to fight more of them in order to get the percentage down, especially when some of them have really cheap ass shots, this is where it's like, okay guys, you can cut back a little bit. I'm also not a fan, really, of the leveling up system in this game. Instead of spending money, you have to acquire these skill points, and the process for getting skill points is really slow. It's a little bit of a grind. In any other game, right? In any other game, like, say for example, if this was an Ubisoft game, they would offer you a way for microtransactions to come in, to where it's a game that, like, almost with the mentality of offering microtransactions to be grindy for skill points. Thankfully, it's not like that. There are microtransactions in this game, which I'll get to in a little bit, but they do not at all tie in with the skill points. They don't at all tie in with the money. They don't at all tie in with like like you getting better at the game. That's like all you. The only way you're gonna get better is if you put in the effort to do it. Like, you have to go out and snap pictures of things. You have to go out and do like where you have to go eat all the foods at all the bars and all the restaurants and get good scores on the batting cages and complete the challenges, stuff like that. That's how you rack up the skill points. And it's a little bit of a grind. A lot actually. It's a fucking grind, and I did not care for it. And I hope for Yakuza, the next one, they bring back the system where you can just throw money at because you get a lot of money. You get money very easily in this game. You just throw a lot of money at the skill tree, and bam, you'll get skills. Bam! Get rid of the skill point system. I don't like it. But my biggest problem with this game, and this is going to sound really weird, my biggest problem with this game is actually the detective element itself. Now, actually one very specific element to it, which are the tailing missions. The tailing missions in this game suck balls. They suck. They suck so hard. At first, they're okay. When you first start doing them in the beginning, you're like, oh, okay, these are short, these are whatever, they're harmless. But the frequency at which they come, and the length of time they spend on these tailing missions, and especially when they start doing tailing missions that are tied to the main campaign, that are not skippable, that are just super fucking long and super boring and take forever, especially when the AI of the character you're following does not respond accordingly and you kind of have to like push it a little bit to keep going. That's when my patience just fucking dried up. It was just like, no, I'm done. I hate these tailing missions. They suck. And there's one in particular that is like near the end of the game that is just insufferable. Like, two of them actually at the end of the game that are just insufferable, and I hated them. And I wish that's part of the padding that I was talking about too. I just wish they didn't have tailing missions in here to begin with. I wish they had, like, I don't know, something else, just something else other than tailing missions, because the tailing missions are fucking dog shit. They're terrible, terrible. Microtransactions. Now, they are in this game. They did add them post-launch. However, and you guys know how hard I am on games with microtransactions. Like, you guys know I have that history with that. I don't think they are particularly bad in this game, and I'm gonna tell you why. The microtransactions in this game are mostly tied to like costume packs you can buy for your girlfriends. Oh yeah, and there's like whole huge side missions dedicated to your girlfriends. They're huge. They're like stuff for your room that you can buy, the decorated costumes for your girlfriend. Now that I don't have a problem with, because that's just like little extra bits of DLC. The one I do have a slight grievance with is the ability to buy virtual tickets for the VR game that's in it. And I'm not talking about like you putting on a VR headset. I'm talking about like Yagami going into this virtual reality video game and playing it. And when you fight people on the street or whatever, you get like tickets for this game that you can use at the arcade. You can buy with your own money, with real money in the world. You can go to the PlayStation Store and spend 99 cents to buy 10 tickets for this stuff. Now, like I said, I only have a slight grievance with it because I can see the possibility of somebody getting addicted to this, and it's like a gambling thing. It's not like you're spending real money for like poker in the game or something like that. It's a VR, it's like Mario Party almost. But the fact that there is an option that does not have a limit of how much you can spend on it for a select side activity in the game, that's a little bit of an eyebrow raiser, especially when they didn't include it at launch. Like, when they added that, I kind of went, like, when I saw that. And I'm not just going to hand wave it away, because then I would be no better than the people like, oh, it's not going to affect me. And I'll be honest, it doesn't affect me, because I did not like that game in Judge Eyes. I didn't care for it. I didn't like the VR game, so I would have absolutely no reason to spend 99 cents on 10 tickets for it. But I can definitely see somebody who is, you know, addicted to stuff like that, definitely getting in on that and definitely spending like a shitload of money on it, which that is my one problem with it. That's my big issue with that. Is, again, it's only like a slight grievance, but it's a possibility. And that's something that I feel I have a duty to tell you guys, because I could easily just ignore it. But I feel like that would be a disservice to my channel. It'd be a disservice to you guys. It'd be a disservice to the potential audience for this game. There is one element of microtransactions in it. I wish it wasn't there. It is problematic, but I do not think it is a deal breaker like some of the other stuff that I've seen from recent games. It's not a deal breaker. It's just an iffy thing that I don't like, that I feel the need that needs to be taken away or explored a little bit more on like how to. I don't have a problem with this game doing like the side content stuff, like the DLC. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with like the costumes. I don't have a problem with the trinkets you can buy. I do have a problem with this, because this specific thing does not have a limit. It's not like once you buy the costumes, you can keep buying the costumes. Like once you're done with the costumes, you bought them. You can't spend any more money. With this, you can. And that's the problem. And that's something that I feel like our RGG Studio needs to look at and be like, maybe we shouldn't do that in the future. Especially now that Grand Theft Auto is kind of like, has kind of made it where like you can spend real world money to buy chips for the casino in GTA Online. I swear, if Yakuza ever does that, to where they start making it so you can spend real money on the casinos, I'm gonna be fucking livid. I'm gonna consider that like a personal betrayal. Because while I am criticizing this, I'm also going a little bit to bat for you. Don't make me regret it. Don't make me regret it, guys. Like, please don't start doing that. So anyway. Yeah, that's really what I feel about Judge Eyes overall. And I really like it. Now, if you're able to avoid the microtransactions that are in the game, and you don't give a crap about them at all, and you're okay with putting up with some pacing issues here and there, I can easily recommend Judge Eyes. I think Judge Eyes is absolutely one of the best games of the year. It's a game that I spent like more than a month getting through, and that rarely happens to me anymore. Like normally I play a game and I finish it in like a week and a half. I spent a month and a half on this game, and I don't regret it one single bit because I really enjoyed it. So if you've ever played a Yakuza game, you really like it, or you want to see what like the big deal with the Yakuza series is, I think this is a decent starting point, honestly. Like even along with Yakuza 0, I'd recommend Yakuza 0 and Judge Eyes as like decent starting points for this franchise. And then you can just ease your way into like the wackier and the sillier ones later on. And then you can even play the Fist of the North Star game. So, well done. Another knockout for RGG Studio and Sega. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what this new Yakuza game is going to be sometime in August at the end of the month. I'm excited. So, thank you guys very much for watching. If you liked what you see, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of Judge Eyes. And as always, I am Razorblade Mango. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you guys later. Bye.